last year I had 75 kids in my band program, and none of them had to rent an instrument.
Wow. That's awesome.
I'm very passionate about that because I'm not going to ask my students to spend $100, or they might not even have $100. And to deny one of my students the chance to learn an instrument and learn those skill sets that are going to set them apart and set them up for success in their future. I don't think I could sleep if I said no.
Totally. You are listening to the Music Ed Mentor podcast, where we teach music educators how to build, manage, and grow thriving school music programs and have long and happy careers. Thank you for joining us today. This is episode 18 of the Music Ed Mentor podcast, and I can't wait to share with you my visit with the Grammy Award-winning Music Educator of the Year, Melissa Salguero. You may recognize Melissa's voice from a few episodes back when she gave me a little advice on conference attendance from when she and I met at NAFME in November. I didn't know back then that she was even up for the Grammy Award thing. I just knew she was sweet and fun and participated in my session from a front row seat. We got to chatting, became Facebook friends, and generally had a great time exchanging stories and talking about socks with expletives on them. Which is why I'm super happy to be bringing her on for today's episode, where she'll share with us some of her journey as a music educator and also help us tap into some very much needed motivation we could all use at this time of year. But first, if you're needing a little fresh material for your classes or private lessons, why not check out what Smart Music has available for you? Whether it's a new set of skills drills or a new take on the major scales, it could just be the exact thing you need to kick it for your next few weeks into gear. And one more tip. If you're looking for repertoire that will educate and inspire, check out alfred.com. A couple weeks ago, I was at the Colorado Music Educator Association conference and sat in on a reading session with composer and arranger Andy Beck, whose two-part choral pieces got me very excited. I was also able to connect with a former professor of mine, Dr. Andy Dabchinsky, who is co-author of the String Explorer series. For the non-string playing orchestra teacher, I cannot recommend String Explorer and Dr. Dab's orchestral arrangements enough. But more on that in a future episode. For now, I hope you enjoy my little chat with Melissa and forgive us ahead of time for any inside jokes and or inappropriate comments.
Yeah, so this whole passion of music really started when I was really little. My parents got me this little Casio keyboard. And so they kind of just let me explore at my own pace. And that was wonderful because I didn't feel the pressure of like, you must practice. You got to, practice your piano. You have a lesson. So, from there, they really nurtured my love of music and just let me explore. So that was really, really, that was the start of it all. Right. And, I joined the middle school band.
Wait. Back up to your Casio keyboard. So was it one of those like that had the preset loops on it?
Oh yeah.
And so like you push it and it's like bing dunka 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 bing dunka 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 bing dunk, and then you got to like compose over it?
Yeah. So like I would do like all these crazy compositions and I didn't even read the manual, but I probably should have, because I could have figured it out a lot faster. But I was playing beats. I was changing the tone of the keyboard. And I would run those batteries dead in hours because I would just be playing it all the time.
Awesome.
And I'm trying to think back to my elementary school days. And sadly, I really don't remember a lot about my elementary school music, history. But I do remember my fifth grade teacher, who actually she's the one that started this whole passion inside of me for helping others. And she's really the one that inspired me to be a teacher. And her name was Miss Bauer. And actually I got to bring her to a Grammy concert with me, and it was awesome seeing her. But back in fifth grade, this is like 1996, 95. And, I had a lot of trouble in school. And what happened was, they called in my parents for a parent-teacher conference. And then I thought I was in deep trouble. But then she actually said, well, we want to make Melissa a safety patrol. And actually that moment, like, it's like a hall monitor. But that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody believes in me. Wow. And she was really awesome. She was really like this teacher that really spent the extra time and really built a really encouraging relationship with me. And I saw what it did for me. And that's when I wanted to be a teacher. I just didn't know what kind of teacher. And so then when I went to middle school, I joined the band. I played trombone. I was your typical trombone player, the troublemaker, the talkative one. I really did annoy my band director a lot. I even got kicked out of like, we had like this band lock-in, like a sleepover type thing where everyone get locked into the room all night. And so I decided to play a prank on him and spray him with silly string, and he was just not happy because at 3:00 my parents got a phone call sending me home. So yeah, I mean, after the middle school, awkward, trying to discover who I was, I decided, hey, I really like playing trombone. I think I want to take this further. And I joined the high school marching band. But when I got there, they didn't march trombones. I had to learn a baritone. And so I imagine, you're going to a brand new school, you don't know anybody, and you get thrown into band camp of all things. And I didn't really know what to expect. I wore Doc Martens and jeans and a chain wallet, and, and we're out there in the sun, and it was like the worst day ever. I did not like it. I went home and told my mom, I'm quitting. I'm done. I'm not going to go. And, my parents sat me down and they had this conversation with me about, if you give up on something, you got to work. You can't give up on it. You got to work hard, and it's going to be worth it. And you just have to keep going. And actually, in my speech for the Grammy, I said that they encouraged me to continue. But honestly, sometimes you need that kind of push and say, there's no choice. You're going to do it. And I'm so glad they did, because I discovered Drum and Bugle Corps, and I marched with the Boston Crusaders, and I really loved it after, I got over that initial struggle. And man, that just took my musicianship to a whole new level. I've never worked that hard before in my life up to that point. And, for those people who are not familiar with Drum and Bugle Corps, it's like a professional marching band, and you're anywhere from the age of 15 to 21, and you're practicing for like 12 hours a day, and you're going on like 3 hours of sleep, and you're just putting together this show all summer. You're in a bus driving around the nation, touring and playing at these amazing stadiums for people who love music. So having that, and it was not easy for sure, but having that experience really took my not only my musicianship, but also now my leadership, because I came back to my high school and I was like really good at it. I could hold my instrument the right way. I could march really well. And even in college, I came in as a freshman, and then I left as drum major of the marching band. I went to University of South Florida. That was go Bills, go Bulls. I don't know if you noticed, but when James Corden came down to sit with me at the Grammys, I put up a little rocker sign, and that's actually the sign of the University of South Florida. So that was my little shout out to them.
Awesome. Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. Not so much in a nutshell. I know I was talking for a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of me.
That's why I got you on here. So pretty, well, I can't say typical background in music education. You have to admit that picking up a euphonium or marching baritone after a trombone, slurs are so much easier, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had no idea what tonguing a note was on the trombone. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't even remember how good of a trombone player I was back in the day. But, I mean, now I can definitely play those notes. But I like to think that my middle school band director is kind of laughing every time one of my trombone players gives me trouble, because it's typical, it's like revenge.
Right. It's just like years. Those of us who are parents, they, like my husband doesn't have kids of his own. And so he just loves like when our kids act up and he's like, yeah, I remember that. I am doing penance for my own childhood right now.
There it is.
So tell us about the situation that you're in. There was no music program at the school when you started there. How'd that go?
So, yeah. Well, I taught in Florida for a year, middle school band, which was definitely a beast in and of itself. Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. Trust me.
We know it. I've had Wendy Higdon on here. Have you ever met her?
I've never met her, but I know.
Yeah, she's a big, middle school band teacher. Been doing it for forever. And we always, we like middle school band. Some of us like it, and we go for that. So yeah, we're there. Yeah. We're with you.
Yeah, totally. So then I had an opportunity to move to the Big Apple, and I had to take it. So first day I got there, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm pretty good at what I do. I just need to get the right connections. And I mean, it was like 6 months before I found a position. I was walking school to school with my resume, trying to get in to see principals. And, I didn't know how the system really worked in New York. And then I came across an organization called Education Through Music. They're actually a nonprofit organization that they put music teachers and music programs in schools that need it the most. And just by chance, I happened to reply to like one of their ads and came in, and they actually placed me at PS48 to build the program. And my gosh, when I got there, there hadn't been music in that building for 30 years. So you're coming in with kids in the South Bronx who, I mean, they don't even know the Itsy Bitsy Spider or any, they don't have that kind of repertoire in their head. So, when I'm going in there, what am I going to do? I don't know. I just sang like my favorite song, which is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. And awesome. They ate it up. They loved it. And they loved the message behind the song. So that's really something that music that resonates with me because of the message. When I'm teaching, those are the songs that I find that they love the most. Like right now we're singing This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. And I don't know if you heard that song yet, but the message is so positive and the kids love singing that song. So picking great music and really writing a lot of grants and hearing a lot of no answers and finding a yes in a lot of situations. It's been like such a roller coaster experience for me teaching there, because like I said, when we got there wasn't many instruments, and the instruments that were there, they were damaged and just in really bad shape. So I was a huge, what you call gleek when that TV show was around, Glee, and they had this contest, this national contest for to make a music video. And they said, okay, make a music video and tell us why you guys deserve $50,000. And I said, all right, I got this. let's go. And so we took some lyrics, and I had the kids help me write some lyrics about who we are, and we submitted it. I really had no like expectations. I said it was fun, even if we don't win or get anything. They called me around Christmas break that year, and they said, we just want to let you know that you are the first place winner of this contest. And I just about like, I thought that moment of my life was like crazy. Little did I know, how the road ahead looked. So that was like the first big, I would say, win for us. And then here comes the roller coaster. Every peak has a valley. And then, man, our program suffered a huge loss when the school got broken into. And so these, I don't know, I can't even say how many people, I don't know. Maybe it was like a group of people, but they came in and they found a master key to the school, and they opened pretty much every classroom. And if it wasn't bolted down, it was taken. Computers, instruments, projectors, all of the stuff that we need to be successful, and not the stuff that makes us successful, but like that helps us reach our students specifically. Yeah, right. So that was a huge loss. And then, I remember that day walking into my classroom, looking through the little window, and I saw my whole desk turned upside down, drawers everywhere, papers empty, instrument cases, and broken drum heads. And I was shaking. I was crying. I was shaking. I was like, because I'm the first in the building usually. So right. I was the one that, called the cops and told the principal. And so the first thing that kind of went through my mind is like, okay, we for sure got to have our music class and have business as usual. But we got to deal with this. And our concert's coming up in a few weeks.
Yikes.
So, I had to do a lot of problem solving with that, and with the help of my friends, and, we put up a GoFundMe. We put up, I went to pawn shops looking for cheap instruments just to get something in their hands. We rented them from the other schools near us. And, the thing that really touched me the most was my chorus kids a few days later got together during their lunch and wrote lyrics to a song. And the song, we put it on YouTube, and I mean, the message was incredibly clear. It's one of the lines is, you're not going to tear us down because we're strong. We will rise from the ashes because we're strong. And it's just it was such a great message. And they asked me to put some notes to it. So I said, yeah, I could do that. And I just put up a little camera, and we recorded it that day. And people really responded to that, and they sent it to people to help us. So they sent it to, local news stations. They sent it to TV hosts. They sent it to Ellen DeGeneres, who just so happened, her producers happened to see our video, and people wrote into her about our school. And I definitely will never forget the day I got that phone call. I had like butterflies in my stomach. I was shaking again. But of pure like excitement and joy. And I'm personally a very emotional person. So if you couldn't tell, but I, of course, like I cry at the drop of a hat. And so I was telling them everything, and I'm on the phone crying, and like my dog is here looking at me like, what, are you okay? And, but long story short, they came out to film a few clips, and I wasn't really sure where it was going. They invited me out to California. And I was so excited just to even see a taping of the show and be in the same room as Ellen DeGeneres. I was just so excited. And then I get there, and all of a sudden, I'm in the audience, and I hear her saying, and my next guest commutes from Connecticut to teach in the Bronx. I'm like, wow, there's another teacher here. Yeah. And then I see my kids on the big screen there, and I just started crying. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. And what they were saying about music and how they felt after, you know, the robbery. And it was just, it felt like 30 seconds, but it definitely wasn't, because she's calling me down there and I'm like, my feet are moving, but I don't feel like I'm actually controlling my body. It was like I was on a train and I had no control, but it was like one of those moments in the movies where everything goes out of focus and you can't really hear anything. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's like,
yeah, I totally do.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So that was really cool. And that she donated $50,000 to us. And so, and a whole bunch, about $20,000 worth of instruments. So that really helped us get back on our feet after that break-in. And the great thing about it is that my students learned that, people do care about these kids in the Bronx. They care about this little school in Hunts Point, and and they're getting a national platform of attention. So that was really, really nice for my kids to see that people do care, because sometimes it could feel alone, especially in like urban education, because there's so many schools next to each other, and it's like, oh, PS48, PS49, PS50, like you have so many schools and it's very dense. You might think that you're just another number, so it was really nice for them to understand that. And I mean, the rest is history. There have been so many grants. Every summer I probably apply for 20 or 30 grants and for my program, and I'll be lucky if I hear back from one or two. But there are like certain organizations that really have helped me get instruments, and one of them is VH1 Save the Music Foundation. And anybody who's like looking to start a music program or get instruments in their kids' hands, like that's a great place to start.
Right.
Mr. Holland's Opus is another one. They have donated so many instruments to us, and last year I had 75 kids in my band program, and none of them had to rent an instrument.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm very passionate about that, because I'm not going to ask my students to spend $100, or they might not even have $100. And to deny one of my students the chance to learn an instrument and learn those skill sets that are going to set them apart and set them up for success in their future. I don't think I could sleep if I said no.
Totally.
Yeah. So, and then let's see. So then we have the Grammys. So I've been nominated, I think, every year. So this is the 5th year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like quite a process, and it actually made me a better teacher every single year. Because once you get nominated, I mean, anybody can nominate you. Your students can nominate you, teachers, administration, parents, and you can even nominate yourself. And once you get nominated, you get to fill out like this questionnaire and then tell a little bit about yourself. And then from thousands of nominations, they knock it down to about 200 teachers that are quarterfinalists. So once you're a quarterfinalist, you're making a video essays about your teaching. And that was very difficult because, sometimes you have like great days and sometimes you have bad days, and like, I don't know. Saying that you're like, I deserve this because it's kind of weird for me, like in a camera. So every year I tried to up the ante, so to speak. I tried to do something bigger and crazier. I think the first year is just me talking. And then the second year is like me. And then I have little clips of the kids and stuff. And then finally I did one where I wrote a little song. And then finally, like this last year, I went ham, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm a huge fan of Hamilton the musical.
Right.
So I love the music, and I decided to tell my story through one of the songs for Hamilton. And the kids fully participated in helping me make the video. And it was like a legit music video. Like, and I was rapping. So like they really enjoyed seeing that side of me. And it really showed my personality and who I am, the energy that I have and that I bring to my classroom really shines through that silly little, 4-minute video. It really tells the story really well. And it speaks to my passions, like incorporating science into my classroom, which is a huge, huge thing for me. I love doing experiments. I love doing visual examples for the kids and hands-on things that they can do that's going to leave a mark on them.
Right.
That's really, really important to me. So I submitted my video, crossed my fingers. I said, what are the chances? I'm making the video. So, and then I got a call back and made it to top 10, and I was starting to freak out, and I said, oh my gosh. And then I got a phone call from Neil Portnow, the president and CEO of the Recording Academy, and he played a prank on me. Because I was just so excited to talk to him. I'm like, okay, what does he want to say to me? So he totally pranked me. And then he told me I won. And that moment was incredible. Of course, you know me. I was crying and just, I don't think I formed words when I was talking to him because I was just so like overwhelmed with emotion. So yeah. And then, you want me to keep going about the Grammys?
Well, what I want to know is like, how do you keep motivated between all of your big, presentations and awards and stuff?
Oh,
like
yeah.
on that day-to-day basis, because I'm sure you've got some really challenging kids and some really challenging situations in your school, and you've persevered and overcome them. So, how can I do that as like a part-time elementary school teacher in Western Colorado?
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. Well, it's important to also remember, we have challenging students, but we could also have challenging adults in our lives too.
Totally.
So, honestly, when I can feel myself when I'm getting to that point of just, that there's no words for it except for that sound. Just, oh my God. Okay. And the thing that really keeps me going is, believe it or not, okay, is watching videos on YouTube. I know this, I'm not talking about cat videos, okay? I'm not talking about the cutie, the little things. I'm talking about inspiring teachers that really, get me fired up inside, TED Talks that are talking about, that have really passionate speakers. And then you can relate to them and you're like, yeah, that's exactly right. Oh, what am I doing? You got to get my stuff together, So, I'm very visual too. So like, I imagine, podcasts would do the same thing, listening to somebody talking who you admire, who you look up to, who you can learn something from. And to also like remember that, like I said earlier, some days are going to be bad and some days are going to be really good. But the peaks and valleys, once you go down, there's going to be an up. You can go down a certain point, but at one point you can't go any lower than that, So another thing is to remember is like baby steps. I have this challenge with my especially beginner band students. Currently, they've been playing their instrument for a total of 9 days. And it's at the point where they're like, oh gosh, I can't do this. believe it or not, they're kind of in the mindset of, I'm no good at this and I just want to give up. And I think back to that time in my life, and I'm sure everybody has a point like this in their life too. But if I would have given up on that high school marching band, my life would be completely different. So I tell my students about me personally and my life, my stories, and I use that to kind of help them get through that. And whenever they say they can't do something, I always say, yes, you can. You can't do it right now, but you got to keep aiming for it. And also, like, it's really important to celebrate the small successes. Even if it's just so tiny, it's like, my inbox is empty. Yeah, right.
Yay!
Or, I did something nice. Or it doesn't even have to be about teaching, when I'm feeling kind of low, I'd like to actually do what you wouldn't actually think of doing, but I like to reach out to people that have impacted me and tell them how much they mean to me. So in the sense of me giving to them, I'm kind of lifting myself up and just reminding myself of where I've been and where I've came from and what I've learned from each of these people. So that's another important thing about it. What about you?
No, I think those are some fabulous tips. I like to think about my perspective when it comes to the students who are in my classroom. Like when I start to feel myself burning out a little bit, which we all do, I like to just take a step back, look up at sexy Jesus. Well, I think I told you that story, didn't I?
I remember. Yes, I do.
I like to look up at the stained glass windows in my classroom and just take a breath and then look at those students. And I think every one of those students is someone's entire world.
Yes.
I have 27 third graders in my room today, and every one of them is precious beyond belief to somebody,
Yeah.
And like just having that little perspective just blows my mind, and it makes the work so much more important. And then it's not work anymore. Then it's like, how can we help them to play, to learn? Right?
Absolutely.
What's your perspective toward your students?
Oh man. Oh, I love them, first of all. They're definitely, they teach me so much every day. And they remind me to be true to myself. And not only that, but to show compassion, to show empathy. Teaching in the South Bronx is definitely different than Colorado, for sure. But the kids, sometimes I forget they're kids. And when I'm pushing them so hard and then they say a stupid little joke or something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, all right. They're kids. Let's enjoy this. And let's really, not to say working hard isn't fun, but it's fun to be good, too.
Yeah.
So like when I'm planning my lessons, I take into account of who they are as people. And let's say, they really like magic tricks. Okay. I don't know where it came from, but they really love magic tricks. So like I'm learning magic tricks and I'm using that to, whether it's a little 5-minute thing in the beginning of class, or it's just like, hey, I'm going to grab a guitar pick and make it disappear. Ta-da. It's those little moments that are going to make you connect with each other. So, and also like knowing your students is so important. I don't think that gets emphasized enough. Knowing what's happening in their lives. In my school, we're 75% Hispanic students, and some of them come straight from Puerto Rico, straight from Dominican Republic, and they don't speak any English.
Wow.
So imagine not being able to speak the language at all, and being thrown into this class and not really picking up on what's going on. And I'm very fortunate. I'm Cuban, so I can speak Spanish. And once I'm talking to them and I see like a sigh of relief on my students when they're like, oh my gosh, she can understand what I'm saying. I could talk to her. That really, because they're all so tense, and then you see them just relax a little bit, and they know that they're safe in your room. That's really important.
So I'm just sitting here processing what you're saying. Like, no, it's fabulous. I would love to, fly to New York and watch you teach sometime.
You can come. You can come anytime you want. You're invited to my room, of course.
Oh, that's very generous. And likewise, you are welcome to come to my little Catholic school in Grand Junction anytime that you like.
Great.
We have mass tomorrow morning if you'd like to join us.
I've got band practice right at 7.
Yeah. In fact, tell me a little bit about that because, the early morning programs, like, is that pretty tough to do at your school? Because am I remembering right that band is a before school thing?
Yep. It's motivation too. It's since band is a before school activity. I don't get a lot of time with them during the day, so we have to. That's the only time I'll get them with no interruptions and no stress. So we do it there in the morning, and it is hard to get those kids there in the morning. I mean, there's no right answer for how to motivate them to get to school, but all I can do is just be understanding and try and teach them the things that they're going to need in the future, like just a common courtesy of messaging somebody if you're not going to be in practice that day. So, so they're getting the skills that, they're not going to just no call, no show to a job one day. They're going to remember in band, and hopefully they're going to remember in band in 5th grade. I remember I got to communicate. Okay. But I've tried so many things. I've tried, a ticket system. I've tried buying them breakfast. I've tried extra, rewards in class. And it changes every year. It really does. What's working this year is just being truly grateful to them when they walk in and they're on time and showing them that appreciation. And hey, guess what? That's free. Acknowledging them and saying, oh, thank you, Leah, for being on time. I really appreciate it. You're going to get better today. It's awesome. Let's rock. That makes the world, because maybe that's like the first interaction with somebody that they've had all day. Maybe I'm the first person that they see all day. And so I want to set them off on the right foot,
Awesome. So do you believe in the premise that you should always stay positive in front of your students?
I believe you should be human in front of your students. Yeah. Well, my first year teaching, that was not the case. I was drill sergeant. Oh man. I yelled a lot, but I got the job done, right? Did the ends justify the means? I don't know. But I feel like this is my 8th year teaching total. And I feel like now I finally have found my teacher self. And instead of yelling at a kid saying, oh, Johnny, stop talking. I've been telling you so many times. I just say, hey, are you okay today? Do you need something? Is there something you need? And that makes all the difference, because instead of you guys going head to head versus each other, that's like a win-lose situation. So I'm starting to think win-win. Let me show compassion and empathy to my students. And in that, the secret curriculum, I guess, is to be how I want them to treat each other. They still tell each other, to be quiet in a not friendly way. They still push each other. They still do that. But every time I react to somebody, how do I react to that situation? I'm teaching them how I want them to be. And then, sometimes when a kid is seeing red, they can't listen to you. So understanding that too, be human, be kind.
Great advice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for getting on with me today and sharing your stories and helping motivate us at this time of year when I think we all really need it. So
yeah, go watch some YouTube videos.
yeah, I think I might hop on over there and get some playlists. So Facebook message me some of your favorites. And we'll do like a little playlist.
Great.
And then we can have that as like a little link in the show notes, and it'll be all coordinated and stuff.
Great. Yeah, that's wonderful. And thank you for having me. This is definitely really cool. And anytime you ever need anything, you can call on me.
Awesome. Thanks, girl.
All right.
Friends, teaching music is not easy. If you want an easy job, there are many for musically trained to choose from. But one thing we do all know, and it doesn't hurt to get reminded of this every so often, that we have the unique ability to impact students' lives in a way no other subject or other teacher can. Not only that, but for the most part, we get to choose our own adventure, whether it's the music we're teaching or the trips we take our students on or the composer that we're going to feature next week. We really do have it pretty darn good. Melissa and I worked together to create a YouTube playlist of some of our favorite motivational videos for you, so we'll have a link to those in the show notes. Be sure to check it out. And as a special bonus, I have collected 100 motivational memes for you to print, post, or just enjoy whenever you need a little pick-me-up. You can grab those in the show notes as well. Just go to smartmusic.com/blog and search for 018. Or click over to my website, professionalmusiceducator.com/podcast, and I'll link you to the show notes there as well. Whichever way is easier for you to remember. Don't forget to hop on over to smartmusic.com and use their resources to help re-energize your teaching. And check out alfred.com for the latest and greatest in repertoire choices that will excite you and your students. Also, it would make my entire year if you'd refer your music educator friends to this podcast, in addition to your own likes and 5-star ratings. Until next time, keep teaching on.